Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one, we are going to head over to America once again and we're going to introduce another brewery that's never featured on the channel before. So these guys are another relatively new addition to the local beer scene. They've been producing some really interesting beers over the last few years and built a very good reputation for themselves, and they're also part of what I would describe as a scene within the beer scene over in the US, and I think this is something that we need to keep an eye on over the next little while. But like I say, I have tried a couple of their beers on tap. The one that we're going to have a look at today is one that I haven't tried before. It's also a style that I haven't covered too much on the channel actually, but I'm hoping that we can change that over the next few months. But needless to say, I'm very curious to see what this beer is going to have in store for us. Hopefully it's another good beer, hopefully it makes for an interesting review, and as always, I hope that you guys enjoy my take on this one as well. So yeah, for this review then, we are going to head to the Chicago area in Illinois in the American Midwest. We're going to go to a little place called Lombard, or Lombard, I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce it, but that's to the west of the city, and we're going to have a look at my first beer on the channel from Afterthought Brewing Company. So this particular beer is called Extra Noble. It comes in at 5% ABV, and this one is described as an extra hoppy Saison style ale fermented in an oak barrel. So yeah, this should be pretty cool actually. This one was bottled on the 5th of January 2022, and yeah, our first review from these guys on the channel, like I've mentioned a few times now. So yeah, let's crack on with this one then and see what we have. So, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery before we taste the beer. If you want to get straight to the tasting though, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future from Afterthought Brewing Company. This is the very first time I'm trying one of the beers on the channel, as I mentioned, but there's all the usual social media down there. If you want to see more reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The support that you give is hugely appreciated, and as always, remember you can go into the channel homepage and search for beer using the geography-based tagging system. Just go to the search bar, put your local city, town, state, county, whatever you like in there, and you will of course find beers from that area if I've reviewed them. Failing that, you can check out the playlist of beers from different countries. But yeah, let's go on to my brewery notes then, and I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. And I do apologise for my voice in this video. I've had a little bit of a tickly cough over the last wee while. But yeah, anyway, Afterthought Brewing Company. As I've mentioned to you already, these guys are based in Lombard, Illinois, which is just to the west of Chicago. And this company was founded back in 2016 by Mike Thorpe, who was an avid home brewer for a number of years, but still works by day as a lawyer. So from 2010, he also produced an online blog, which was called Spontaneous Funk on Blogspot. And this contains a plethora of home brewing and tasting notes. So you can actually go on there and still learn a lot about how to brew these particular styles. But during his homebrewing days, he also used the name Ambrosia Ales for his beers, and it was changed to Afterthought a little bit later on. But after a trip to Belgium, he developed a love of Saisons and farmhouse ales, and he says that he was obsessed with Taras Bulba by De La Seine in particular, and so he decided to switch all of his home brewing activities to focus on these sort of Belgian farmhouse styles of beer. So in 2016, he registered the name Afterthought, basically the idea that he'd gone to Belgium and then had an afterthought that he wanted to produce these beers. I believe that's where the name comes from. But he started to put together his own commercial brewery, and these guys are very small scale. They brew their beers in small batches of about 1.5 barrels or 50 US gallons, which is in real measurements in the metric system is 190 litres, and they produce around 100 barrels, which is around 16,000 litres per year. So this beer is produced on a very, very small scale. But the first beers were released in May of 2017, and they've been building up their number of brews over the last few years and just trying different styles and things like this as well. But in May of 2021, they opened their tap room, which is a separate location from the brewery, but still in Lombard. But they say that this has helped them get the Saison style more just more recognised by their customers, because they say they can explain it and explain all the different things that they're doing with the barrel fermentations and so on as well. So these guys, as I say, are part of the kind of farmhouse ale culture that is growing in the US. But as of December 2022, when I'm filming this review for you, these guys have produced 295 different kinds of beer according to Untappd. And like I've mentioned to you, these guys specialise in, different kinds of Saisons. I think they have produced one or two other things in there as well, like a couple of blonde ales, and I've got a feeling I saw a triple when I was looking through. the list of things on Untappd as well. But yeah, mainly a Saison farmhouse style brewery, and they have, as I say, built a very good reputation for themselves. But that's all I can really tell you about Afterthought Brewing Company for the moment. If you want to learn more about these guys, you can of course check out the brewery website. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram to keep up to date with all the latest goings on. And if you're particularly interested in the different beers that they've done, then you can check out the Untappd page. And you can, of course, check out Spontaneous Funk, which is Michael's blog as well, which is still up there. I had a little look at that when I was preparing the notes for this video. And a big thank you as well to Michael for answering me through Instagram, because he told me a bit about the volumes and things that they're producing. So yeah, big shout out to him for taking the time to respond to my message. But yeah, let's get on and have a wee look at the beer itself. So yeah, I'll just let you have a little look at the artwork on this one. It is very simple, to be honest with you, which, you know, is quite tasteful. Plain orange top on the beer as well, and it just says on the side here, brewed and bottled by Afterthought Brewing Company LLC, Lombard, Illinois. This is 1 pint, which is 9 fluid ounces, or 500 millilitres they're saying. An American pint, of course, is usually 473, so it's actually a little bit more than that. So it's, oh sorry, I'm telling you lies, it says 1 pint 9. 1 pint 0.9 fluid ounces. I'm getting confused by this, but yeah, 500 millilitres. Kind of unusual to find a 500 milliliter bottle from the US actually, so that's kind of cool in itself. But yeah, Afterthought is an extra noble barrel fermented beer. This one, I did take some notes on the beer. This one is brewed with Pilsner malt and rye, along with noble hops. It's a special version of their noble beer that was originally fermented in stainless steel. So this is the wood barrel fermented version of that. But yeah, like I say, 5% ABV this one. This should be quite nice. So let's get this guy out into the glass and see what we have. Really looking forward to this. Been looking forward to trying this one since I got it. Actually, just look at the smoke coming off that. Not sure how well you can see that actually. The camera I think is too high definition for that. But yeah, let's get this guy out into the glass and we'll see what we have. Ooh, that does look very nice. We'll just take care with it. I think that's a nice pour. We've got maybe about 2/3 of it into the glass, and that will be nice. So, yeah, there we go. So, as you would expect, as you would expect of a Saison, it's poured this lovely kind of bright golden yellow colour. So we've got about 2 fingers of a frothy, I would say perfect white head. And this one I did give it quite an aggressive pour. You guys might get a little bit less than that, but you can see the beautiful foam on that. Just look at this. The foam is absolutely lovely. A mix of like small and medium sized bubbles. We've got a little air pocket on this side too, which is kind of cool. There you are. But yeah, in terms of the colour of this beer, as we said, a lovely bright golden yellow. It's a little bit hazy. You can see 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, but there is a fairly steady stream. There is a fairly steady stream of nice bubbles just going up toward the bottom of that head there. But remember, the colour of your beer depends on, 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. To be honest, when I think about this, I would maybe have expected this one to be a little bit darker because of the rye content. But there you go, learning something new every day. But yeah, the different types of malt that you use determine the EBC rating for the most part. The length of your wort boil is also going to play a role, because the longer you boil the wort, the more the sugar's caramelised, thus you get a darker colour of beer. Any barrel aging that you do or adjunct you put in will affect the colour of the beer too. When it comes to Saisons like this, it depends what kind of barrel you put them in, of course, but that can affect the colour very slightly as well. But this beer, I have to say, it does look lovely. I'm guessing we probably will have some sediment toward the bottom of this, towards the bottom of the bottle with this one. And this is quite a big bottle for an American beer, as we said. It's not as big as the Bombers, but still 500 mils is a bit unusual. But yeah, it's actually quite a clear Saison at the moment, but we'll do kind of 2 tastings of it. I guess we'll do one without the sediment and one with the sediment. You know, you almost get 2 different beers that way. But yeah, lovely looking beer, this one, I have to say. Nothing surprising about its colour or whatever when you consider what style it is. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the aroma and just see what we have with this one. Very curious about this beer. That does smell very, very nice. Yeah, my colleague at the Bishop's Arms Alan, he loves these kind of farmhousey saisons, and he's actually got me into these beers and trying them a little bit more. I have to say, he loves these kind of things, and I can see why. You know, it's always interesting like this. Usually, it's someone that prompts you to try something, then you get really obsessed by a style. That's just kind of how it goes. But yeah, I can absolutely see why Alan's got really into these beers. This one smells absolutely lovely. It's got a little bit of the spice, it's got a bit of the brightness, it's got a little bit of the citrusy character that you want from the style. You know, it's a really, really nice beer, actually. It smells really good. So let's try and break this down and just describe it for you that wee bit more in depth. So, the backbone of the beer, absolutely, you can smell that nice, kind of smooth, American, oaky character to it. Again, pardon me, I've still got the remnants of this tickly cough. But yeah, you get this nice kind of smooth, woody backbone out of this one. There's a little bit of a kind of vanilla essence in there as well. But then above that, you've got all the things you expect at the Saison. You know, the wholemeal brown bready bread crust. You've got a little touch of spice in there from the rye as well. Yeah, this smells absolutely lovely. I have to say that. Lovely, lovely smelling beer. Yeah, aroma-wise, this is very, very nice. Yeah, like lovely. The woody backbone, which gives you a wee bit of dryness, but also a bit of smoothness and a bit of vanilla. The kind of wholemeal brown bready bread crust. You've got a little bit of kind of slightly sweeter rye bread in there, but then you've got a lot of white, kind of fluffy, fresh white bread as well. Yeah, lovely fluffy, fresh white bread. And then you can smell all the kind of doughy, yeasty type characters out of this one as well. It's got a really woody and almost like Jacob's cream cracker type element coming out of it, I have to say. So I really like that in this beer. Yeah, lovely. The more that I smell this beer, the more that I get kind of Jacob's cream cracker elements out of it, and that is really nice. So yeah, lovely Jacob's cream crackery notes out of the beer. Then you've got the doughy kind of yeasty notes in there mixing in with the bread. It has got a little touch of an almost like, you know, dried banana, apricot-y type thing from the yeast for sure. There's also a little touch of like a McVitie's digestive biscuity character to this beer as well. So I really like how, I do really like how this one goes together. Yeah, aroma-wise, this one is, it's really nice on the malty and yeasty side of things. But of course, you've got a lot of hoppy character to this one. You can definitely get those nice big noble hops out of this. I'd be very curious to know exactly what hops they've put in this one. You know, when it comes to the noble hops, when I hear the term noble hops, I think about, you know, German Tettnang and Hallertau, Czech Sats, Žatec as they call them, and also the kind of Slovenian hops as well. And this one's got quite a bit going on. It has the kind of brightness of the German hops, but it has also got a wee bit of spiciness of the Czech ones. I doubt there's Slovenian ones in this, to be honest with you. I've got a feeling this could be a mix of German noble and, you know, the Czech Sats hops in here, because you have got that wee bit of spiciness in there. But yeah, the green hoppy character of this one, you've got a little bit of the smooth earthiness, which goes together really well with the sort of crackery backbone that you have with this beer. So yeah, you've got that, yeah, that little bit of earthiness, that little bit of crackeriness in there. You've got all the doughy kind of yeasty sort of things. Yeah, the way that this beer goes about its business in that sense is really nice. But you've got a lovely bright floral character to this one. There's still quite a bit of zesty grassy note in there. I have to be honest and say, when this beer was bottled in January of 2022, it's almost a year old at this point. We're reviewing this one in December for you. This one, I'm surprised at how well it's held up actually. The hoppy notes are still really vivid in this one. Really pungent, I should say. So you've got a lovely little bit of zesty grassiness in there. You can smell a bit of wetness to the green component as well. Nice floral character and a little bit of herbal and earthy note to it as well. So yeah, I really like how the aroma in this beer goes together. When it comes to the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of when it comes to the hoppy side of things, you've got a good little bit of or the fruity side of things, I should say, you've got a good little bit of kind of lemony, zesty character for me. There's also a wee touch of lime, something like that, but you're also getting the kind of typical noble notes, like a kind of fresh green apple, a little bit of sultana, a little bit of pear. There's a lot of stuff like that going on in this one. So yeah, I really like how this aroma goes together. As I said, as I always say, take a bit of time just to enjoy the aroma of these beers before you get stuck in, but I think we should have a taste of this one and see what it's all about. Actually, I really need to do some more Saison reviews on the channel, so this can be the first of many, I guess. But let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål, cheers. Oh yeah, that's nice. That has a really nice impact to it. It's actually quite wet and quite floral in a sense. You know, that does go together really, really well. Yeah, that is nice. I'm going to say straight away, thumbs up. Thumbs up to Afterthought with this beer. This is very, very good. The ones we tried on tap were nice, but I don't know what it is about these beers. I think with Saisons, to be honest, I think I prefer them in the bottle when they've kind of I think just with these beers, like on the tap, they're almost just a little bit too thick and too smooth. I actually quite like the Saisons when they've had that. They've got that slightly cleaner mouthfeel, in a sense, that you get from the bottle conditioning. But anyway, that's by the by. It's just me having a wee thought, and as I say, I do need to experiment with this style and get to know it that wee bit more. But this is lovely. Yeah. So let's break this down and describe it a wee bit more in depth. Yeah, middle third of the palate then. Middle third of the palate in this beer. You can feel that nice, smooth, woody backbone. That lovely, smooth American oak. Toward the front of that middle third of your palate, you get a little touch of the vanilla in there. So you've got that going on. Little touch of the vanilla. But as you go further back on the palate, you can feel that wood becomes drier and drier. And of course, that's a typical thing that you'll find when it comes to your palate. The drier and more bitter flavours come out further back. The smoother and sweeter flavours come out further forward. That's just what you get with these things. So, that is really nice how it goes. It is really nice how all that goes together. But on the it's actually, the more that I drink of this beer, it actually becomes cleaner and cleaner, and that's just what makes me wonder if we're really getting the kind of real flavour of this one. So let's put the rest of it in and just see what we have in terms of sediment and things. Yeah, there you are. I have to say that looks a little bit more like what we'd expect. There's not too much in the way of visible sediment left in the bottom there, but it's definitely there. But as I say, it's a clean beer. This one is really nice. So let's see what the difference is now that we've got the kind of sediment out of it. It's not wildly different, but it's definitely noticeable. So you get more of the kind of yeast. This beer, despite putting the sediment in it now, despite that, you still get a cleanliness. There's still a lovely clean mouthfeel to this beer. But yeah, you do get a little bit more of the kind of bready, and you still get a little bit more of the kind of bready and kind of woody and yeasty characteristics out of this one. They become just that little bit more prominent, but still a lovely beer. So as we say, we've talked about the woody backbone of this beer. Let's focus on the middle third of the palate and the kind of malty side of things that we're getting from it. So, the middle third of your palate, then above the woody layer, you get a little bit of that kind of fresh bread crust. It's actually not as wholemeal and brown bready as I thought it was going to be. You start to get a little bit more of the kind of brown bready character into the aftertaste. So the bread crust that you get out of this one is a lovely kind of fresh white bready. It's a lovely fresh white bready character, which I do like. And it almost feels as if you still have some of the, it really feels as if you have some of the flour still on the actual bread crust, which is kind of interesting too. But yeah, the way that goes together is pretty damn nice, I have to say. Yeah, so the fresh white bready bread crust. Above that, you do get a little touch of the kind of wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. And then, above that, you can feel the kind of, there's quite a dense white bready character to this one actually. It's still, you've got like a kind of denser layer in there. And I'm assuming the kind of wholemeal brown bready notes we'll be getting will be from the rye. Like you can feel the bread crust and the wholemeal brown bread is the rye character. That sits above the wood. Then you get the white bready layer, and the white bready layer has a bit of density to it in the bottom part, but then it really starts to get more airy and light and fluffy. And that, the way that goes together is really very nice. Above all of that, in the dead centre of the palate, you do get a little touch of like an oily McVitie's digestive biscuity sort of thing, and it gets a little bit more kind of grainy. It gets a little bit more kind of grainy and sort of sweet, if you like, out toward the edges of the palate. So this Saison does have a wee bit of sweetness to it in a sense, I would say. But as you move further back on that middle third of your palate, you start to get a wee bit of a kind of spicy, grainy character out of the bready notes in the beer. And again, I really quite like that. I think that covers everything we need to say about the middle third of the palate in this beer. Yeah, so the border region between middle and back third of your palate, again, you get a little bit of white bready build up in there. It's a little bit fluffy and everything. Then the base of that the base of that back third of your palate really has a more, the base of the back third of your palate, the woodiness is a lot drier, of course, which is to be expected. Then you've got the bread crusty layer, which is really quite grainy. The woody notes are a bit drier, the bread crust is a bit more grainy, and above that you've got the kind of wholemeal brown bready notes, which are, again, the wholemeal brown bready notes just have this lovely, how do we say, they've almost got a little bit of sweetness to them. Like you get the rye in there and it's almost like a kind of slightly sweet rye bread, but then you get the kind of spicy note above that. And that brown bready layer is certainly taller on the back third of your palate. Then you go above that and you've got the white bread in there. And the white bread, again, it has a bit of density, and then it has the more airy notes, kind of light airy notes above it. But you get a wee bit more of that kind of almost like a peppery spice or something in the back third of the palate. Then above all of that, you've got just a wee bit more of a kind of very light farmhousey bread. It's almost a little bit sweeter, to be honest. So yeah, the back third of your palate, you can absolutely feel that the flavour of the beer is taller on the back third of your palate. Then as you come further forward, it just condenses down and squashes together that little bit more. And yeah, you have that. But I have to say, pardon me, this is a very, very nicely done Saison. I don't drink Saisons all that often, but I have to say I really am enjoying this one. So I maybe need to start drinking more of these beers. I must admit, I always did enjoy the sort of table beers and things. Table beers I first really encountered with Kernel from London. But yeah, this one, I have to say I really do quite enjoy. Yeah, so on top of that, then we need to look at the hoppy side of the beer. So in the back corners of the palate, you've got a lovely little bit of earthiness in there, and of course that's part of your noble hop character. So a little bit of smooth earthiness. Then as you move further forward, it's got a little touch of a kind of herbal type note there, and then as you move further forward towards the kind of front corners of your palate, the herbal note does spread forward a wee bit, but then you get just a little touch of zestiness coming out of it as well. So yeah, you get that little bit of kind of nice floral aromaticity. It's very bright floral aromaticity, I have to say. But I think some of that impression is probably coming from the yeast, to be honest with you too. But round the front curve of the palate, the beer is definitely lighter and more grassy. You've got a little bit of zesty character in there as well. And yeah, the way this goes about its business is really, really nice zesty, grassy sort of thing. Yeah, I do like how it goes together in that sense. The hoppy character in this one, I'm surprised how pungent it is when the beer's a year old, but I think the yeast is helping to keep that in check. But yeah, lovely zesty, grassy character. The green component, in fairness, does have a little bit of wetness to it, which I think kind of assists the flavour too. But yeah, goes together nicely, like I've said. So, front third of your palate then. I think we've said everything about the green component. The border region between front third and middle third of your palate. Again, you get a little bit of a bright white bready build up there. The base of the front third of your palate is nice and smooth and woody. And above that, you start to get some of the nice juicy esters. You get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. So yeah, that's quite nice. At the back of that front third of your palate, pardon me, you've got a little bit of a kind of, you can feel the back layer of your palate is like sort of sultanas, you know, dried white green grapes. There's a little bit of that going on. There's a little bit of a kind of oily peary character on top, but as you reach the front of that front third of your palate, you really have quite a nice, you really do have a very nice kind of zesty character. This one's like fresh green apple, but at the same time there's a bit of that lemon limey character that you would expect as well. I really would be curious to know which hop variety they've used in this one. But like I say, sultanas, oily pear, fresh green apple, and also some really nice lemon limey kind of notes as well. I really do like how all of this pieces together. It's a lovely, lovely saison, this one, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. So big thumbs up to Afterthought with this one. This is really showing you another side of the kind of noble hops in a sense. But yeah, the yeast is obviously giving you some of this kind of citricy character that the beer has, and I love it. I have to say, I really do. But yeah, so I think we can round off this review with a wee look at the mouthfeel then. So mouthfeel wise for me, this beer's right in the middle of the spectrum. You know, it's mid-bodied. It's got a lovely cleanliness to it, but of course, as you get with the Saison, it has the kind of smoothness and woodiness and that little bit of spicy dryness and things to it, which I really do like. In terms of the IBU count, what could we say? Yeah, in terms of the IBU count with this beer, it's a little bit difficult to say. I've got a feeling this one might be about 20-ish IBUs, maybe a little bit more, because you do get that wee bit of spiciness and things from it. And as I say, the beer does have a little bit of a kind of inherent dryness to it, which is probably affecting that a little bit. But like we say, the malt base is nice and smooth. It's got a bit of dryness, a little touch of sweetness to it as well. And the fruity notes in this beer are quite zesty, also, which I have to say I really do quite enjoy. So yeah, overall, this is a really, really nice Saison. I think this is a very, very well done beer, and it absolutely makes me curious to try more of the things from Afterthought. This has been a lovely, lovely beer to try. And as I say, the farmhousey stuff is always very, very nice. So, pardon me. Yeah, that's not the beer, by the way. This is just the cough that I picked up when I was in Japan. But yeah, this one was the Extra Noble, a 5% Saison with Pilsner malt and rye malt, noble hops, aged or fermented in a wooden barrel. I think it turned out very, very nicely, this beer, and I certainly wouldn't hesitate to drink it again. But probably what I'm more likely to do with Afterthought is try some of their other things. But certainly cool to introduce these guys to you here on the channel. And yeah, it's been awesome to try some of their beers. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Once again, thank you for watching my beer reviews. Until the next time, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Let me know your own thoughts on this beer in the comment section below. Let me know what your favourite beers are from Afterthought Brewing as well. Do give me some other recommendations for sort of Saison type breweries over in the US that I should be checking out. But this was a really, really nice beer. And I'm glad that I got to review this one for you here on the channel, and always cool to introduce new American breweries as well. But once again, thank you for watching. Check out my social media, check out Afterthought's social media. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Slàinte, skål, cheers, catch you guys in the next review.